appreciate the support, guys, so far. Throughout all the years, it's been great. So this is a continuation of the anxiety motivation series. Motivation is so important. I remember someone saying to me, I can't remember who it was, they said that motivation is bullshit and it doesn't work. And I think the person who said that is full of shit. In my experience, that's absolutely not true. Motivation is everything. If you're not motivated to get up and take a shower and to go to work and go out and build relationships and be all you can be, then how can you say that motivation is bullshit? What I think he really meant is he's struggling to motivate himself. So therefore he's thrown the towel and he's quit when it got difficult. He's come to the conclusion, he's come to a rationalization that motivation is bullshit because it's not working for him. So I never said motivation is easy. Nothing of any value is easy. But that doesn't mean that motivation isn't true. Motivation transformed my life. Motivation stopped me from killing myself. Motivation got me a girlfriend. Motivation made me financially free. Motivation built me a successful business which has transformed thousands, if not millions of men's life and women all around the world. So motivation is definitely not bullshit, but it takes a strong person to not quit when things are not going well. And we all get days where you don't feel motivated, which is why we need to read a book or take a mentorship program, listen to someone who is motivated that can motivate us. So after the gym today, I wrote this down. These are all the mistakes that I made in my life in regards to personal relationships and how I let people treat me and how sometimes I treat people not so well. And these are things that I've addressed. And I'm 100% confident that this is gonna help all of you so much, because a lot of my clients struggle with this until they make that transformation. So lately I've learned to value myself more by setting stronger personal boundaries and not settling for anything less with regards to how much I charge for my coaching and my business and with the relationships that I build with people. This has been an ongoing thing, by the way, guys. It's just not yesterday. I've learned that most people, unfortunately, they won't respect you unless you respect yourself. Most people will try and devalue you if you let them. You have to not be scared to be honest with people if you don't like the way they're treating you. I've also learned that it's important to treat people how you want to be treated. I also learned to stop caring about what other people think. I've also learned to have the courage to live from your own values, regardless of what other people will say about you. All these things give you great confidence and self-esteem. They've done that for me and my clients. It's important not to be afraid to say the word no to people. It's equally important to not be afraid to say the word yes when great opportunities and great relationships come into your life. So this is just like a small snippet of what I learned on my journey with first being terrified to leave my house because I was so afraid, I was so anxious. I suffered with panic attacks every morning, and I said in my last video, I was being bullied every day by a three-way conversation which went exactly like this. You should be ashamed of yourself, you don't have a girlfriend. You should be ashamed of yourself, you don't have any money. And you should be even more deeply ashamed because you're a failure, you're a loser, and you've not achieved any success in your life. That three-way conversation, guys, was literally beating me to my knees every day to the point where I wanted to kill myself. I just wanted a way out. Obviously, excuse me, I did some praying, I was desperate for help, and I heard a message from Les Brown, and I've spoken about that in my previous videos. If you're new to the channel, when I was going through this awful time in my life in my early 20s, 25 to be precise, I heard a message from a man called Les Brown who said it's possible. You can live your dreams. He was called the dumb one at school. He was labelled edgeably mentally retarded. The kids laughed at him. He wore hand-me-down clothes. I related to that growing up because my parents, we didn't always have money for designer clothes. Sometimes I had to wear cheap clothes, and all the kids at school, they ripped the piss out of me. They laughed at me. It doesn't sound like much now because now it wouldn't affect me. But when I was a kid, I was young, you're sensitive, you're vulnerable. It destroyed me. It embarrassed me so much. You know, the kids laughing at my high-tech trainers that it made me, I couldn't walk properly down the street because I was so embarrassed. I was so afraid of potentially another attack coming, another criticism. And the laughing and the heckling, which come from that kind of dark, egotistical place, you know, kids were young, it crippled me socially. It made me nervous, it made me stutter, it made me not want to make eye contact with people. It made me afraid to express myself. I felt ashamed of who I was, what I was, And that terrified me later on, and it put all these demons in me, and it made me feel that I'm not good enough, that no woman would ever want to go out with me, and I couldn't earn anything. Even minimum wage was too much for me. That's how I felt at that particular time. So when Les Brown motivated me, he sparked a fire in me. It was always there, but I didn't know how to get to it. I was afraid to get to it. I was afraid of my own potential. I was afraid of my own emotions. I was afraid of my own confidence. My confidence terrified me, because it was everything that I wanted to be, but my mind was telling me, you don't deserve to be confident. You've got no right to be confident. You're a piece of trash. That's what you deserve. So I got so used to being in a place of defeat. I got so used to expecting people to treat me bad that if I got anything other than that, it terrified me as much as I wanted it. So I was afraid of being confident. I was afraid of confident people, and I was terrified of not being confident. I was afraid of not having any money, but I was petrified of making a lot of money. I was terrified of never having a girlfriend, but I was equally terrified of having a girlfriend. So I was afraid everywhere. I was trapped. I was so frightened as a young man in my early 20s, despite what I presented on the outside. What was going on in the inside was massive insecurity, pain, and just scared of everything. So when I heard this message from Les Brown, it freed me. It freed me to such a degree where I cried. I didn't cry because I was weak, and there's nothing wrong with men crying, by the way. It doesn't make you a weak man at all in the right context. I cried because he triggered that part of me, that little bit in me that went, I know I can be more than what I'm being. I know I can get beyond this. I know I can get out of this shithole of a flat. I know I can stop being treated like trash by the people around me. I can stand up for myself and raise my personal boundaries. I know I can get a girlfriend. I know it's in me. I know I can do it. Because when I was a young kid, there were lots of girls that were attracted to me. There were many situations, but where I got so dark in my own depression and mental health problems, I forgot. My mind deleted. It deleted all the good in my life. Like I said, I had a traumatic upbringing, but equally I had a wonderful upbringing. I'm not going to lie about that. It was both. Great parents, great values, wonderful friends growing up, but also bullies and horrible experiences. So I had both sides of the spectrum. You could say, let's get straight to the point, not beat around the bush. I had a lot of love growing up, but I had a lot of hate, a lot of abuse, a lot of abandonment, a lot of rejection, a lot of manipulation, being treated like that. So I was a bit confused about, I didn't really understand, do I deserve to be loved? Do I be treated, abused? Is that what I deserve? My mind was confused. It was trying to understand life and myself and all these other things that were going on. And the pressure of being a young man, the pressure of trying to be all that I wanted to be and to impress my friends and make my father proud, my mum proud, society. There's so much to deal with for a young man when you're on your own. And I didn't really trust anyone. I didn't really trust people. And you couldn't blame me, because I grew up in an area where there was a lot of people that you couldn't trust. That's just plain obvious. But there were lots of people that I could trust. But it was bouncing between two of those psychologies. And the strong one seemed to take over at that time. And the strong one was obviously the negative one, the negative worldview and the negative image I had of myself. Like I said, initially, I was a lovely kid. I was confident and outgoing as a kid. But then when the trauma kicked in, the bullying, the name calling, the abuse, and the abuse and the trauma, it was both physical. It was physical, psychological, and it wasn't just from kids, from the young kids, the guys and the girls, also some school teachers as well. Like I said, a school teacher said to me, Jonathan, when you leave school, you're going to be nothing. You're going to be sweeping the streets. You're going to be a road sweeper. By the way, there's nothing wrong with a road sweeper. I've got respect for anyone who does a day's work, but that's not what I wanted to do. That's not the job I wanted. And she said it in such a derogatory way, in such a horrible, spiteful way, that it made me feel disgusting in that moment. In front of all the kids, she humiliated me. It wasn't a nice thing to, obviously I forgive her now. People make mistakes. I've said things that are unkind, we all have. But at that particular time, I didn't realize the effects that has on a young kid, and how that affects you later on growing up with your self-worth, what you think you're worth. So it affected me in all areas. So of course, having all that going on, of course I'm going to feel vulnerable and insecure, and I'm going to think that a woman's not going to love me and she's not going to like me, and I don't deserve to make money. Of course I'm going to have those things if I don't educate myself and heal from that. Thank God, after listening to Les Brown's message, I was able to go on and do that and increase my self-esteem, delete those schemas and those traumas, and get new experience, new proof, new positive reference points that I am enough, I can do it by doing it. So those things I wrote on the list, you know, it's interesting because this is what I like about success. I learned this the other day, I've got to share it. I know what most of you are thinking, I understand. You're probably thinking, well, you know, Jonathan's saying he likes success because the money, the fame, women, this and that. No, initially it was that. No. When you become successful, it makes you realize where you went wrong in your life. Success leaves clues, unless you're ignorant, and I try not to be, right? I've been at some point, we all have. But I got to really sit down and process, now it makes sense why I let people walk all over me for 15 years, why I let friends treat me like trash. You know, now it makes sense why at times I didn't treat people very well, despite that not being how my parents raised me. Not all the time, but I definitely was guilty of that. I could put my hand on my heart, and I know that's true. I know I made mistakes because of my own pain, and you know, people treating me bad. It's so easy for, well, if everyone's to treat me like trash, I'm going to give that back. And as you grow older, you realise that doesn't work. It's not the way to be. It doesn't justify it. But then you really learn. You learn why you struggled, and then when you succeed, you learn how you put it right. So I'm still going through a process at the moment where I'm learning the lessons and the blessings from my successes and my failures, and it feels wonderful to get this out, especially with the one main goal in mind, to transform as many people's lives as I can. So if you're going through this right now, number one, I understand because I've been through it, but I'm going to say the same thing I always say. You're not going to want to hear it. Maybe you will. You've got to stop being a coward. You've got to take personal responsibility, because when I played the blame game, finances didn't go up, the account minus, no lovely girlfriend in my life, not great friends, not a great relationship, if I'm being honest. It's hard to say this. At a certain point, not a great relationship with my family, certainly not a great relationship with me, and life was just hell every day. Why was it hell? Because I was failing on one of the most universal principles, which is I wasn't taking responsibility. I was taking my anger out on the world, and I was projecting and feeling justified, because I was like, well, and it wasn't fair what happened to me, but it was my responsibility. So, you know, looking back, I've learned, and it's a blessing, you know. See, these are the things that a lot of people don't realise. A lot of you great teachers out there will know this because you work with your clients and you see the changes that you make for them, you see the changes you've gone through. When you learn from your mistakes, i.e., I'll read some of this out here, what I said to you about, you know, just lately, this has been a course over all my life. I learned that, you know, I didn't set strong boundaries. That's why people walked all over me. In every area of life, I didn't live from my values all the time because of the fear of what people would think, and that caused mental health problems. Of course it does. Of course your heart is going to tell you, I'm not living right. It's not right the way that person's treating me, or I'm devaluing myself. And when you change it, and I can't believe I'm saying this, and I don't say this lightly, believe me, I've got to take a deep breath when I say it. When you go through that pain, which we all do, all of us that suffered from anxiety and shyness that got bullied, you know, you're going through pain for like 20 years. But when you change it, please God, all of you do. And I'm going to help you to do that if you're open to let me. When you get the results, and I'm not just talking, do you know what, I'm going to be honest with you, it's not really about material. It's nice, that stuff, and I want it, I have fun with it. But when you have the spiritual change, when you emotionally transform and you feel good in your heart, you go, do you know what? I don't like that. I wouldn't wish that on someone. I wouldn't want my kids to go through that if I have kids. But man, is it worth it to feel the way I feel now, and to be the person I am now, to have the life that I've got now, and the people, the relationships, and to feel generally confident in who I am, and to like the person I am, and to love who I am. You know, and to also to honor the parts that I have flaws like everyone, and to work on them daily. To feel that and to feel it in your heart and for it to be true, it's kind of worth it. I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't be the person I am. It's a cliche, we hear it, but I wouldn't be the person I am if I didn't go through the abuse, the trauma, the panic attacks and all those problems and being treated bad. But like I said, I want to point out positives. I'm a positive person. I did get treated very well growing up as well. It wasn't just all abuse and trauma and you know, and narcissists. It wasn't. That wouldn't be true if I said that, and I'm not going to lie. I was treated well by a lot of people, and that probably kept me going, thank God. So I am very lucky. So I guess I could ask you in your story, despite the pain you're going through right now, which I know isn't nice, but if you find a purpose over pain, think about all the good things in your life. And sometimes we have to do that, because if we don't do that, our mind is just gonna focus on all the negative, and we're gonna feel terrible. So I don't really know what I'm saying today, but I know what I'm saying, and I know you guys are gonna get it. You're gonna get it because I'm speaking from my heart, not from my mind. I'm speaking from what I've lived through, not what I've read in the textbook or what I've seen on a tweet and retweeted. It's all true, which is why it takes me a little bit of time to process and go back into my heart and my memories. And it's such a gift to be able to share this, because you know what, I thought of this downstairs. It's a bit cheesy, but I'm going to say it anyway, because I'm from the 80s and there's a cheesiness in me. Not everything, a little bit. It's okay. The boxing, man, it toughened me up. You know, okay, I didn't go on to be a world champion or a British champion, which I had aspirations to do, but that wasn't my purpose. That wasn't my calling. I was meant to go through boxing to learn lessons. Boxing has given me the strength and the confidence to do this talk today, because it's taken me the best part of 20 to 30 years to have the confidence and the courage and to be strong, to be vulnerable and open with people, the whole world, to inspire people, to make myself vulnerable. I couldn't have done this without the boxing, because going in the ring and those hard sparring sessions in Fitzroy Lodge and those hard sparring sessions in the Stowe Club boxing gym and in St Pancras, all those wonderful gyms, they fucking toughened me up. In a kind way, not in the type of way that people could think. Man, the beatings I took, and sometimes I won some of the gym wars. Man, I am grateful for what they done for me. It was worth every penny what they done, and I was terrified at times, but I got through it. I was very brave, and I got better each time. It gave me that strength, you know, because that's what a lot of people are scared of, and I used to be scared of. It's easy to express to a certain point, to say all these things, but you need to be strong to be able to take what's going to come back. So that's why I can handle criticism. It's not going to make me have a breakdown or be scared, or I've been through it. When you can take the knocks in the sparring and give it back, because my father taught me that as well growing up. Another great lesson. I appreciate my dad saying it. My dad said it's okay to give it. You're tough, great. You've got to learn to take it as well. And I think what he means by that is, you know, as Les Brown says, life's going to knock you down. It's not always going to go the way that you want. And then when you're doing the sparring in the gym, it doesn't always go the way that you want. You go in one day and you do really well, and you think, I can't believe how well I've done. I feel like I can Mike Tyson. And you go in another day, and a guy that you wouldn't expect, he doesn't look much, he beats the shit out of you, outboxes you, and you're embarrassed. I've been embarrassed many times, but it's good to go through that and grow through that, because you never realise years later, when I was a young skinny kid, I was so shy, I was a scared lamb when I first walked in Fitzroy Lodge. Everyone could see that, but I had a lot of courage from my father and my faith, and I stuck with it, and I grew. But now look what it's done for me. That's why I talked to you guys about investment. £5 it used to cost. That's a bargain, man. £5 to go in the gym and be able to train for several hours and be around top level trainers and boxers and professionals. You can't put a price on that. So I'm grateful for what they've done for me. I didn't have to do that. All the time that they gave me, most of these trainers are not getting paid to do it because they love it. So I'm grateful. I'm gonna give gratitude back. It's a pleasure for me to do that. It makes me feel good to do that. So going through the boxing, and to think that, people used to laugh at me when I used to do things in school because I was a bit different. I was a bit socially different. But what I would say now is I've got no hatred anymore. Thank God. God's helped me. Who's laughing now? Because I don't feel ashamed of who I am. I'm proud of who I am, the man that I've grown into and what I'm doing. I love what I do. I don't really care what anybody thinks. It's so important to me to do what I feel God's called me to do and follow my values in my heart, which I'm doing, and it feels great. And I know people that follow me will appreciate that, because they're good people as well, and they want to live from their values. They're working through their fears, and some of you are already doing it, which is great. But like I said, everyone's on their own journey. Don't compare yourself to me or the next person. You can't win like that. That's a losing battle. I say to my clients, do not compare yourself to the next person. You don't know what they're going through. You don't know what they had to go through to get to that point of success. There's no reason. Focus on what you're doing. Focus on where you're going. Because it's not about where you started, what you've been through, but it's about where you're going. So it wasn't a waste of time for me going through those sessions. Something in me, when I was younger, going to the boxing gym, part of me was like, sometimes I said, why am I doing this? You know, I started very late, by the way. So it was very unlikely I was going to be a world champion or a European champion. But there was something in me saying, you need to be here. I just knew it. It felt right to do it. I loved it, by the way. There was times where I didn't want to do it because I was so nervous. This is a true story. Before the sparring, I couldn't eat on the day of the sparring because I was so nervous. I knew every Tuesday, Thursday we'd spar. And it was always tough. It was always hard. It was never really light sparring. For me, it's controlled fighting. Get my nose busted, my ribs hurt, eyes, and for me, getting tired was always a horrible feeling, and sometimes throwing up. I just get sick. I know it's gross, but I just get sick in my mouth. I have to put the gum shield in, swallow it, and continue on. But man, did it shape me up in every way, shape, and it gave me a lot of respect for people. I have such a great respect for fighters because I know what it takes. I've done it, and it's not easy. Everybody can say they'll do it and be big and all this. Talk is cheap. So it really, doing the boxing aligned me to what I was born to do, and that's speak. Yes, that's what I get paid to do, is speak and to listen to people and hear them out, and to obviously guide, support with the confidence coaching. So, I'm a huge believer, and I know it for a fact, when you share your story with people and it's honest and it has the right ingredients in it, it will change people's lives as other people have changed my life. And we always feel, or we can feel, well, my story is not interesting like Jonathan's or Les Brown's. But the truth is, your story is interesting. My story is no more better than yours. Everyone's got a great story. And I also learned from my mentor, Jeff, most of us haven't got the courage to tell our story because we're so afraid of exposing the things that we're ashamed about. But you've got to get past that and be proud of it and realize that we all go through stuff. But it's your response to what you've gone through. So you don't have to be a victim. And that's the motivation for today, is really trying. I guess the main thing today is about learning from our mistakes. It doesn't make it right what bad people have done to us, but we need to not let them make us bitter and be victims, because that's how we disempower ourselves. We've got to build our character by working hard and having a will to win. And boxing gave me that will to win and not to give up. It teaches you so much about life, the mind, the body, even things that wouldn't probably make sense. Boxing's taught me how to make more money and how to stop being a little coward and a scared little person and speak up and earn the money that I deserve to earn, and put a price, a value on what I think I'm worth, and not let someone else do it, because people will do it. Unfortunately, if you don't put a nice price on what you're worth, someone will come by and they'll put a price on you and you won't like the price. And that's not just a financial truth, that's a metaphor for love and respect. So, it's all these things. I'm almost out of energy today for this video. We're coming to the end. I'm just thinking of a few more things to share. And it's, what's the best lesson to end this? I really feel this is not easy, and I know it takes time, and I'm still getting to grips with this myself, but often what's keeping us from overcoming our anxiety is we are ashamed of our struggle. We don't want people to know. I can tell you, because I've worked through many struggles, you need to not be ashamed of your struggle. You need to be proud of it. That doesn't mean that you don't get over it. Of course, you don't want to struggle forever, but you need to not care what other people think, because we forget the person that you're worried about that's going to judge you and look down on you, they've been through a struggle and they're probably going through one right now. And if they have overcome it and they are in a good place and they do look down on you and they do judge you, then shame on them. Because as Mike Tyson said, which is very wise, and I've learned, if you're not humble, then boy, this has nothing to do with me, life and God will humble you. So if they start acting, they think they're better than you or the next person, they're gonna run into a right hand, and it's going to be a shock when it comes, right? And I'm not wishing that on anyone, but that's what I've learned in life. So I won't worry about it. I'll just focus on what you're doing, all right? Anyway, appreciate the support. It continues, like I said. Same in the gym. I don't go gym once a week, twice a week. I don't do YouTube once a week, twice a week. I live it. This is a full-time thing for me. I love it. I'm passionate about it. So it's not like this is the next video, next one's the next. I'm not into all that stuff. That's great. That doesn't work for me. I follow my heart, follow my passion, follow me what I feel I'm gifted to do, and that's to keep doing the videos fearless.